Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the County of Berrien. It's a pleasure to have you here this morning. I apologize for starting a little bit late. It was a busy agenda for all of our parent committees. At this time, I'd like to just remind you that, closer, I gotta be louder. I'll speak up, I'll use my performing voice, right? There you go. A reminder, please turn off all electronic devices or silence them for the duration of the meeting. Any materials that you may wish to have distributed to the board, you can do so by giving it to our Sergeant of Arms, which is Commissioner Jim Kern. And we ask that you be mindful of just being courteous and polite during the time that we're doing our business here. The next items on the agenda are the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation is going to be given by Commissioner Jim Kern and the pledge by Commissioner Michael Majeric. Please join with us if you wish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's pray. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of county business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us do right by all concerned. Please share a little of your wisdom with us so our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for your guidance and your heavenly blessings over our meeting today. Amen.
Amen. The flag is in the left of the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Bell,
Here.
Curran,
Here.
Harrison,
Here.
Engelmann, Majeri,
Here.
Martin,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Walrath, Werfel, here, Yarborough,
Present.
Elliott, Freeling.
Present.
Madam Chair, you have 10 present, 2 absent.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum. At this time, I'd like to just pause in our agenda, and I just would like to take a moment to recognize, as many of us are well aware, there was the unfortunate tragedy of the passing of one of our road department employees, a longtime employee. And while we all collectively mourn that loss as a county, as a community, I want to just be mindful of the fact and make the statement that there is a criminal investigation ongoing. And so because of that, the board members here are not at liberty to discuss the matters that occurred in that incident. In addition, I'd like to ask that the public be cognizant of that fact and refrain from any speculative comments in regards to that incident as we allow the process to proceed. Thank you for your understanding with regards to that. And we definitely send our condolences to all those who were impacted by the passing of Mac. So with that, moving on to the next item on the agenda, I am looking for an approval of the minutes from July 14th.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Scott. Is there support? Commissioner Majeric. Is there any discussion on those minutes, corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, any communications?
Yes. You received 2 resolutions, one from Oceana County Board of Commissioners requesting a change to Michigan's no-fault insurance received on July 20th. A resolution from Allegan County Board of Commissioners supporting an amendment to the Michigan Auto Insurance Reform Act received July 20th. That's all.
Thank you. Everybody received those communications? Yes. All right. Moving on to the next item, Annette had mentioned this in the 8:30 meeting, requisition review for those items that needed to have discussion in parent committee. Annette?
Right, so resolution B 2207087 had a requisition on there that I needed to have you guys have some conversation about before we knew if it was going to go forward. Are there any problems with that? Do I have to have that removed, or does anybody have any questions?
Were there any questions with regards to that after Annette came around? Hearing none.
Good.
We're good.
All right, I'm gonna send the requisition list, please, around to be signed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, moving along, we're at that point of committee reports. And so who would like to go first? Would you like to go first, Commissioner Kern?
Sure.
All
Thank
right.
you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. The bulk of our time in our committee this morning was spent with Dr. Hamill and his staff talking to us about the old hospital in Berrien Center, which is attached, or we're attached to the hospital out there with our juvenile center. And the proposal of building a facility to house Sacred Heart. Lakeland is very supportive of Sacred Heart, and that is who is in the hospital out there in Berrien Center now. So I think Brian has done a very good job of keeping us up to date on the fact that the general hospital building out there is at the end of life. It any day now could just fall apart on us, and we would be in trouble because all the utilities go from the hospital to the juvenile center. There is some urgency on the part of Lakeland Hospital to get out of that site because the end of life, the cost, the unknown, which impacts us. So what Dr. Hamill talked to us about this morning is building a 14,000 square foot facility, estimated cost at about 5.6 million to house Sacred Heart. We carried that discussion on a little further about, and this was part of what Dr. Hamill said about our coexisting and, you know, cooperative efforts, those type of things, is to build this facility that Lakeland wants to use for Sacred Heart in conjunction with our juvenile center. The two go hand in hand. And so we discussed in admin about partnering with Lakeland and doing a combination of the two facilities. Us primarily behind the juvenile facility, and a second facility that would be supported by Lakeland but driven by us. In other words, we would build a facility and lease it out to them and do it in conjunction with the juvenile center. So we asked Dr. Hamill to come back and do a presentation at the committee of the whole so all of you can hear what they are proposing and what they are supporting. And the administration committee is 100% behind it. And I'll tell you, we've heard Brian say before that out on the Napier property, there may not be room for everything, for the court, for the sheriff, for the juvenile center, et cetera, everything else that needs to go out there. So we've also heard in all our research and discussions about the juvenile center that the family court goes hand in hand with the juvenile center. So what we asked Brian to do is to put together a concept of out on the Napier property, putting the juvenile center, the family court, and a building that would be 14,000 square feet that would be suitable and designed to house Sacred Heart that would be supported by Lakeland. Then we will have an idea of how much acreage that's going to take up out there. So it will give us an idea, is there enough room out there to continue the future designs? Or do we say, you know what, this property is full. If we're going to do a jail and a courthouse, we better look for other property. Or, as I understand, there's still another 50 acres adjacent to that 50 acres, which may or may not apply. But I think it'll give us, this board here today, a good vision for maybe the board 10 years from now. Because I don't think in our term, we're going to build a jail and a courthouse out there. We just don't have the funds. But this would be a start for that property. And so we want to give Dr. Hamill the opportunity to make his presentation to the whole board that we saw this morning. And there is some urgency here. Dr. Hamill made it quite clear that, there is urgency on their part because they've got to find a home or help find a home for Sacred Heart. And part of that is building a building. So I'm throwing the concept out to you now of building 3 buildings. 2 of them would be done now. One would be as needed or as soon as we could fund it as needed, which would be the family court. And then Brian, at that point in time, would also be able to help us out with, okay, what does that mean over to courthouse? How much room does that free up as far as support staff, everything else? That's coming. This is all concept, and I want everyone to see it so you can visualize it and maybe get behind it. So you'll have a presentation from Dr. Hamill on that. Any questions, Ezra?
Yes.
You always ask me questions. I just know it's coming. Yes, sir.
I need to get this through my head straight. They are proposing that we use county funds, taxpayer dollars, bond issue, whatever it is, to build them a building. And then they would lease that building from us.
Correct.
So,
It's been done in the past.
well, I'm not saying that it hasn't been done in the past. I'm asking, why does it have to be done in the future like that? Why does this have to be done in the future like that? It's been done in the past, but just because we've done it in the past doesn't mean it was the right thing to do.
Right. Well,
So that's my question is, I think in a capitalistic society, if they're going to run this particular business and perform a service, then I don't think the county taxpayers should foot the bill for them to run their service.
Mr. Chair,
That's the only thing that I don't understand that.
Go ahead, Brian, you can answer it.
so Juvenile Center has been adjacent to the hospital, has been adjacent to Sacred Heart for a number of years. Juvenile Center holds a contract with Sacred Heart. The kids that come into the Juvenile Center who need treatment services are literally walking out the side door to the secure facility at Sacred Heart receiving service. Judge Mayfield, Elvin Gonzalez spoke on behalf of the Juvenile Center today, speaking of the synchronicity of having treatment services immediately adjacent to the Juvenile Center as providing long-term value for their clients. Spectrum Lakeland talked generally about the fact that if we don't find a space for Sacred Heart, that Sacred Heart is based on the east side of the state, that they have been shopping for real estate for the better part of 2 years, trying to locate a facility here. If we don't step in and provide some assistance in helping to make that a reality, that we will likely lose those services. If we lose those services, the 2 primary locations where those clients will end up is either in the emergency room at Spectrum Lakeland or in the jail. There is long-term benefit to trying to work to retain Sacred Heart and those services. If this were to be a bond issue through Berrien County, we would set up a lease agreement so that you're covering all of your costs, so that that lease back would repay the county for all of the outlay of cash. We are in no way saying that Sacred Heart is the only vendor we would look at. We are concerned about maintaining a relationship with Spectrum Lakeland, be it Sacred Heart, be it another vendor. We would set up that lease agreement. So it's a multi-decade covering all of the costs associated with the public debt issuance. And then we would just set this up so that there is some flexibility. If Sacred Heart becomes a different vendor, that you're not going to lose any dollars. I think that was generally the pitch from both the courts as well as from Spectrum Lakeland today.
Excuse me for a minute, was there any pitch in there for the county to sell them a piece of that property and let them build that themselves?
Without a doubt, that's an option that could be looked at. I think what the admin committee saw today is that there is definitely a need. There is definitely a desire to try and co-locate them. And for today, the discussion was just about trying to do some site planning exercises that show if we were to put up this space either adjacent or atop juvenile, how much space is then left for the long-term vision for that site? Is there room for jail? Is there room for family courts, et cetera?
All right, thank you.
I just wanted to add to your comment, and if I
Mike.
could, from Edmund, Dr. Himmel.
Julie, turn your mic on, please.
Sorry, adding to the comment that Brian made, Dr. Himmel was also very clear that they have been subsidizing operations of Sacred Heart for years. So to keep them afloat, because when you get, as he put it, when you get into that business, you're not in it to make a profit. So it's not like it's a profitable industry, but if we were to enter into a 40-year agreement, there is some relationship there as well that it would be covered.
Thank you, Julie. And Judge Mayfield and Elvin Gonzalez was present during the conversation, and they both seemed to be in favor of it. Especially the judge, she liked the cooperative concept of us partnering with Lakeland. So she was very much in favor of that. Any other discussion or any other questions on that particular topic? Okay, we had Kevin Stack in from the road department talk to us. Apparently he either got to finance or he was waiting outside your door to talk to you about a waiver for Japanese knotweed. He's got a vendor that he's worked with in the past that has been working on the formula, and he thinks they have a good formula this time, and wants to go with that vendor. We were fine with it, and yeah, very good. Okay, so there you go, Kevin. Finance is good. We have a number of resolutions, but Annette sent them out to you. You have all the resolutions. They're in the packet. I'm not going to go over each one of them. If you have any questions about any of the administration resolutions, I'll be happy to address them. Other than that, that's our report.
Thank you very much for that report. Hearing no other questions, we're going to turn it over to the Chair of Personnel.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. So we also met this morning. We had a rather short meeting. Guy Miller was in. He presented on two of the resolutions that are being asked for today. So let me give you a little background on them. One is for support services from a statewide agency that will help organize the filing system for the health department. So that contract is approximately $5,000. The second is a rather unique one dealing with dental services, primarily located in Benton Harbor on Main Street. One of the statewide agencies is acquiring a dental practice there, and by establishing a relationship with the health department, they are able to get a supplement to the Medicaid fee screen. So it is, I think, a great move that will expand dental services for residents of basically Berrien County. So it can be anybody on Medicaid. They also do provide fee for service for other non-Medicaid patients. We also reviewed the Parks and Recreation report. Jill was not able to be with us. We had a discussion about a proposed donation of property to the county through what's called affectionately the Lady Bird Trust. So it's just something that is a potential, not anything that we need to act on. It is property that might be of interest to us down the road, but we're not obligated at this point in time to do anything with it. And then we have a total of 8 resolutions for your action today. I covered most of those at our last meeting, but I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have about those at this point in time.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just as a quick update, Jill is not in the office for this week. Jill will be working to get a number of her staff in front of you at not next week's meeting, but the second meeting in August. She had some of her staff that were directly involved with saving some folks that were in a near drowning situation. It will, I think, be their last day with the county that they'll be coming to talk to you, but we're excited to get them recognized for their actions. These were teenagers or early 20s staff, and just couldn't be happier to note the good work that occurred.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Sure.
I have a question. On 7297, the COVID immunization is $887,851. And that is money received from the state for COVID immunization.
That-
Shots is what I'm thinking that is?
No, that's actually what they are now grouping what they call emerging threats. So lead in the water, COVID, monkeypox, things that are coming up in the future. So they now are giving us, it's far more than just COVID. So
No, I'm asking about, out of the 2.356 mil, $887,851 is COVID immunization. Are we still charging $40 also? I thought we approved that, didn't we? And is that a yearly? Is that something that we're doing yearly or in addition to this 887?
this would be money from the state of Michigan for individuals who don't have private insurance.
Oh, fine, that's all,
Okay.
never mind. And then the EOC Contact Tracing, is that the company that we've used, Brian, to do the contact tracing, the third party that we approved in a contract? Or is this something that is just in-house over at the health department?
So this is not the firm that developed some software at the start end of the pandemic. That was a software company based out of Kalamazoo. That was software that was provided to local businesses in an effort to try and help them conduct their own contact tracing. This is separate of that.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yep, good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? That would conclude our
Hearing
report.
none, we will move on to finance. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What I'd like to let you know is that Doug James, our Director of Finance, was in to give us an audit update. And this is something we had not seen in a while, but it's great to know where we are. And so what I'd like to let you know that in our income, it is down a bit. The percentage of our expected budget was 16.8%. In 2021, we were at 17.6%. So it's not a great difference in the amount as the income comes in. And then I'd like to let you know on our expenditures, we're a bit higher. In the percentage is right now in 2022, or as of June 30th, 2022 is at 86.6%, or no, 46.8% total expenditures, whereas in 2021, it was at 45.8%. So we're still in line. Our contingency is a bit low. We're usually at $1 million, but right now we're at $40,000 left in our contingency fund. But a lot of things are happening and we're buying big trucks, and a lot of trailers. Is that what you keep talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. And so there are a lot of things that we need. And what we have found as the Finance Committee, I know we were looking for trucks, probably for the Sheriff's Department or SUVs or something. And they said, we have one more. We bought it because everything we're doing is taking a year or two before we can get it, with bullets, with whatever we're doing. When we find that there are more than what's been asked for, if we can, we're ordering more. So I want to let you know that. We had a general fund update and contingency and a guarantee from Doug James that our audit will be in on time. What I'd like to let you know, there were a number of waivers, and the people come to all the committees, and we agreed on the waivers for the knotweed. They say it's 12 feet down the roots. It catches on so tough, it causes real problems. And so they've been working a number of years, and hopefully they have a solution. We'd like to let you know too, there are a number of things with the road department. The tractors need transmissions. The waivers means that it's sole source, so that's the company we bought it from. And so all of our committee agreed that we should do these things. In our I don't know what to call it, power room, where all our computers and things are. A lot of work is being done, and we needed to rent some kind of cooling system because it's the humidity and all in the room. You have to keep those things at certain temperatures and all the computers so that we can continue to do the work that we're doing. There was something else we're renting. It's to cut the weeds and things on the highway. So a lot of work is being done, and the waivers in our committee agreed. I'm trying to see if we did the road payables, the resolution to approval of the weekly bills, and we approved our minutes. Are there any other things that?
Madam Chair, I have a comment. Doug or Ben, would you please get copies of this report to the rest of the commissioners so that they can view it also? Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments for the Finance Committee Chair? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. I just want to pause and take a moment. Dave Volroth was absent this morning, and he is watching us. So I'm glad he stayed home and he's not sharing. He's watching us at home, but yeah, so good job. She gotcha. Oh, but with that having been said, we're glad Dave is home and recouping from the cough that he has and that he didn't come here to share it with all of us. So with that, I will open it up for public comments regarding any of the resolutions that we have here on the agenda. I have been asked to pull agenda or resolution number A2207323 as it relates to the Act 51 road finance report that we heard an update on this morning. I think there might be just a couple of questions that need to be asked. So I appreciate that staff's here in the room for that as well. But with that one resolution being pulled, I will open up the floor to any of the public comments if you have anything as it relates to resolutions that are on our consent agenda. Are there any public comments for resolutions at this time? All right. Hearing and seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar with that one resolution being moved, being cognizant of the fact that we have an additional 7 added resolutions onto that. So if your motion is to include those added resolutions, I'd entertain that at this time. All right. All right, we have it moved by Commissioner Martin and supported by Commissioner Kern. Is there any discussion on those items? All right, hearing none.
Kern,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman, Majerick,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Werfel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Freely.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 10 yeas.
Excellent, thank you very much. So the consent calendar with the added resolutions, minus that one that was asked to be pulled, has been approved. So now we will take up for consideration resolution A2207323. Is there a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, so it's been moved and properly supported. We will open it up for discussion, and I will turn it over to Commissioner Werfel, who first expressed a desire to have it pulled.
Thank you. My question for Kevin is the fund balance growth. And can you address why it's growing when, we hear obviously from our constituents, we need more roads fixed?
Yeah, so the fund balance you saw grew by about 2.4 million, again from last year. What we're dealing with is number one, staff exiting. We're gaining salary costs that we're not having to spend out. But a big portion of that is projects. We're physically just not able to get projects out fast enough, especially with the market we're in now. Even last year, we have one engineer on staff, and that provides a challenge getting all these roads designed. We are starting to bring in outside consultants more. It just costs a lot more money to do that. So, but we recognize the issue that we do have to address that. We can't keep rolling that money over. We're trying to spend it the best we can. This year, we're watching it right now, if I can do an amendment to tap it because the project costs a little bit. But the things that we look at that for is what you'll see next year is you'll most likely see a budget presented to you showing red. We'll be going negative, most likely, to tap that fund balance more, whether that's more trucks, more equipment that is desperately needed, or if that's roads that we're going to be doing more of, or if it's buildings. I mean, there's a lot in there that can go in there. We're not going to keep saving it to fund a $8 million building, but we need to keep it relatively low. The magic number that we always say needs to stay in there is about $8.5 to $9 million. That's for cash flow. So we get our monthly check from MTF. We just don't get the 19.2 million all in one check. We get it monthly. So last month, I believe just to say our MTF was 1.1 million. Our check, our expenditures that month were 2.8 million. So that's just that offset so we can grab from it and keep our cash flow going without having any issues. So the magic number is 8.5 to 9 million. Yes, it's at 16.7, 16.4 million. As we sit right now, I do anticipate that even with cost increase this year, I do anticipate some money rolling over. Fingers crossed we don't, but it just allows us next year to, as I explained, we're going to probably push the same amount of miles, but less projects. So you'll start seeing projects that are 6 miles long rather than 1 mile long. We're going to try, if we have to bring a consultant on board, we're going to get the most bang for our buck. We're going to get a better cost of them just staying on one road, getting us one plan set, one project ready to go. And we'll take that and, there'll be $2-3 million projects, but we'll still be doing the same amount of miles. Yep. Any other questions on that?
Are there any other comments, questions, concerns with regards to the report?
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes.
I asked that it be pulled also, but I asked that it be pulled for a completely different reason. This has to be required to be sent out by July 29th. What we saw this morning on Committee of the Whole was just a blur of numbers. I haven't had a chance to look at it, to study it, and I can't approve for something to go out that I know nothing about. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The comment is noted. Is there any other comments, questions, concerns from the board? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Harrison.
Yes.
Spiegelman,
Yes.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Martin.
Yes.
Scott.
No,
Bertha.
Yes.
Yarber.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Curran.
yes.
Freeling.
Yes. All right,
Chair, you have 9 yeas, 1 nay.
the resolution is passed. And moving on to the next item on our agenda, we have some board appointments. We will turn it over to Commissioner Harrison.
So the committee met, reviewed a number of applicants for appointment to the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, and we're recommending Ashley Schlack from Waterville Elite. We had great candidates, and so this would give us a little broader geographic representation on that planning commission. So that would be I would make that motion.
Right, there's been a motion to appoint Ashley Schlack.
Schlack, I believe is.
Yeah.
All right, to the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission to fill out the term. Is this for the seat that was open for
I believe
citizen
so.
or? Okay, all right. Is there support for that?
I'll support that. Or
I
Whoever.
think Rayante
Rayante.
beat you to it.
no problem.
So Rayante has supported it. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those, I can do an all those in
Yes.
favor. Yeah, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The appointment is approved. So we'll make sure that Ashley gets communication of that appointment. Right, Brian?
Yes,
Okay. perfect.
absolutely.
All right, moving on to commissioner reports. And Madam Commissioner Garbo, may I start with you?
I don't quite remember what day it was, but we had a Parks Department report. And they're doing good things. It was about purchasing property, I think in Waterville, and the community is very much for it, making more trails and connecting with what we already have on, I say M140, or the Berrien County Park, Paw Paw River Park. So that's coming along really well. Things will take a while, but we are in the process of purchasing another piece of property.
And that was Tuesday afternoon, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Madam Chair, I really don't have a report, but I'd like to ask that the Board of County Commissioners and everybody in the room just take a moment of silence for our dearly departed road department worker. Thank you.
Certainly, if we can all take a moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Ezra.
I just have a few comments to make. I brought up last time about our courthouse parking lot, and I received quite a few emails directed at me about it. A lot of them compliments about trying to keep these items with our county ordinances, which apparently we do not have one yet on regulating that. About the gentleman who started it, how he likes to post his things publicly without following any rules and continue on. And quite a few of them about how he's going around slamming me. Well, you know, I've taken a lot of that before. It doesn't bother me at all. It just shows how people react when they know they're wrong and don't like to follow any rules. So I hope that I talked this over with Brian, and hope that our council will look into seeing any way possible to try to get some type of process there, because I don't want to all of a sudden have one group supposedly being there, another group showing up, and all of a sudden there's a confrontation. And we don't want to have that on county property, because we don't know the way it is nowadays. We don't know how a confrontation is going to act out. So that's my comment on that, and I hope to hear something later on that, hopefully. Second thing is, everybody probably knows by now that I had received a lot of questions on why I wasn't going to run again. Well, I did open up exploratory reasons to have me look at it to run. And everybody should know that I am not running. I'm going to just uphold the term until the end of this year. To go along with that is once I made mention that I might consider running maybe as an independent or so forth. Seems I got a lot of roadblocks thrown out at me, being a commissioner. In trying to serve the people of my township, because District 3 is basically Benton Township right now. Want to assure them that besides all those roadblocks, that I will continue to serve the people of my district in the best way possible I can with the circumstances that were thrown out. It kind of made me feel almost like that I wasn't a full commissioner, that I was a second-class commissioner. But to reassure them that that's not going to happen, I'm going to continue on, do my research, and I will be bringing things to this board on opinions. And I'm not running for re-election, so it doesn't matter what I have to say
I'm gonna be in support of my constituents and people that I represent up until the end of this year. That's all.
I will say that all of the commissioners' input is always welcomed, and we're glad to have you at the table.
Over the last 2 weeks, I've attended a number of meetings. As Mamie mentioned, the parks meeting we had, I'll add a few comments to that. We did talk a lot about property. Brian mentioned this morning or somebody mentioned the Lady Bird on a property out in Royalton, Berrien Springs area. That's, down the road a ways. We have the Water Elite property that's moving forward, that's being worked on, all those contracts. And then we've got some hiccups on the Madeline Bertrand property that we were briefed on also with the grant from 2021. So, and that hiccup revolves around the inflated prices of real estate now because the appraisal came in a lot higher than it was originally. So, so we're working through that also. Brian also mentioned this morning about the restroom issue down at Silver Beach. There were also restroom issues at Madeline Bertrand. There's, as I think Jill put it to us, to the Parks Board, the number 2 benefit of all of our parks is our facilities and, the ability to go on a hike and have a restroom to actually use as well. So there's a lot of failing infrastructure that's being worked on. And our parks managers have become also good plumbers. Not really their job, but on a good note, also down at Glean River, the tree canopy was inspected and was found to be completely structurally sound. All of those things that goes on every couple of years, I believe, for that, and that is in good shape. Secondly, on another good note, all of our the revenue collections at our parks are on track for what we had budgeted. So that's also good news. I met for the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency. We had that meeting. Total assistance in June, I believe these numbers were for, was $176,000. A little bit lower. That number's kind of coming down from all of the really inflated high COVID numbers that they were providing assistance for in that area. And then yesterday we had a 911 meeting, but on a separate note of the 911 meeting, I spent some time, since I serve on that board, I spent some time at the 911 center at dispatch about a week and a half ago with Caitlin and her team, and just, listened to calls and sat in with what they're doing every day. And that is just such a phenomenal team. I can't say enough good about them and what they do and how they stay so calm on the phone in doing their job. It was very impactful for me. That's my report.
Last week, Wednesday, I attended the tour of the AEP building down in Buchanan, along with State Senator Lasada. Basically, Captain Rocky Adams and Brian, our administrator, led the tour and showed her the building. And, she secured, $5 million for us to put a tower down there. So we showed her basically where the tower was going to go and the overall facility. And I think she was impressed. And I think she was impressed with the fact that we got it. That, something that nice we were able to acquire. Tuesday, I attended the Berrien County Historical Association meeting, and they're gearing up for their signature event. It's in October, and the theme this year is going to be a Halloween theme. So wearing costumes and all that. As that gets more put together, I will report more on that. Also on Tuesday last week, I attended the BCAT meeting. Basically, we're back in the bus business. So Dan wanted to bring a number of things to us. Policies for one, we don't have policy for our people. We relied on TMI to do all that. And, when they left, we've been in limbo. So Dan is tightening things up as if we were running and owning the bus again, which we are. And they also talked about capital improvements, the building down in Berrien Springs, buying buses, all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe BCAT is going to be eliminated because we don't need us anymore. It'll go back to finance. That's their parent committee. So we'll see where that goes. I also attended the 911. Why are you smiling, Mamie? You want Berrien bus? You got it. On Wednesday, I attended the 911 quality assurance. But like Julie said, they do an excellent job out there. Those people do a fantastic job. And we reviewed a call of an incident down at Redbud during the Redbud Track and Trail down there where they needed the helicopter. And so we critiqued that for them. And that's all I have.
I attended the Community Corrections Advisory Board meeting, and we received updates from a lot of the programs in that, KPEP, Bennett Crisis, pretrial supervision, all of those things. We also got to meet with the new adult courts manager, Miss Ellen Moore. So it was a pleasure meeting her and all the things that she's going to bring to community corrections. And I was also fortunate to meet the famous Miss Deb Panazzo. She told me about her experience being a commissioner and all the things that she did on the Community Corrections Advisory Board. And so I'm just looking forward to serving on that board with her. I also received news from the governor's office that yours truly will be appointed by the governor to the Juvenile Justice Board for the state of Michigan. And so I told her the timing could not be more perfect since the county, we are looking at reimagining and restructuring our juvenile detention facility. So that was exciting news. And so the announcement of the appointment will come soon. So yeah, that's my report.
Congratulations. I don't think I can top that report. I did attend the Chief Elected Official Council that's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. Attended the EOC meeting, the BCAT meeting, also a road meeting, and then also working with Mr. Doucette and Shelley on wages. And so that's all I have to report.
I attended the Riverwood meeting, and most of the meetings was spent over MyHIN, which is the Michigan Health Information Network. And we have not joined it yet, but the discussion was, should we join it? And that is a network of all hospitals, doctors, pharmacies are all connected. So as a patient, you go from one doctor to another, all the information will be on this network of your previous, anything you've ever done or any medicals you've ever taken. And so of course, giving up your data to another organization and trusting in that is what everybody is talking about in the discussion. It hasn't been given the permission yet, but they are looking at it pretty heavily. Other than that, everything else is just going as normal over there. So, report.
Thank you all for the work that you do out in the county for our citizens, and things are moving along in the county. It's good. All right, I'm going to turn it over to the administrator. Do you have any comments?
Yeah.
All right.
So I try to be brief. Today will be a little bit of time. I'm going to start with a thank you to the Board of Commissioners. Last week, we had a horrible situation where a nearly 25-year employee was killed senselessly on one of our roads. Board of Commissioners, thank you for letting us skip last week's meeting. The bigger thank you is the board took action over the past few months to bring back the Employee Assistance Program. In a million years, I never would have guessed that we would be using the EAP this soon and on this topic. So the Employee Assistance Program provides direct care for mental health services to any of our staff, plus any of their family members. It's through Pine Rest. And last Wednesday afternoon, we had a worker killed. Thursday morning before 8 o'clock, through the Employee Assistance Program, we had Pine Rest at a road department meeting with roughly 80 people. So to the board, you might not always see the direct impact of what you work on. Last week, you saw the direct impact of what you worked on. So this is with complete sincerity, thank you. This is a program that is providing aid to some of our staff. It's a program that I think long-term will provide aid to a lot of our staff. And just in that continuation of just a statement of thanks, there's too many people to thank. Over the last week, I have been blown away by the demonstration of leadership and just a commitment to working as one team, essentially as one family. So Kevin's in the room. I'm not going to ask you to say a word. I'm just going to say thank you. Kevin and Greg have blown me away by the demonstration of leadership, working with their staff, rallying their troops for an immediate stress debrief for a review of what occurred, and then pivoting and ensuring that funeral services were beyond impressive. Chuck in the back, Chuck was one of the first people I called. Our sheriff's phone was down, and so Chuck was essentially running between IS and the sheriff to get him and the sheriff over here. Between the two of them, we had a member of our staff that was directly impacted by this death, and they took her home. They helped her with the notification of family members. I mean, the list goes on and on. The ladies upstairs, Amy, Annette, Wendy, Betsy, there was no questions asked. It was just what can we do to help? So at some point I'll sit down and make a list of everybody that reached out, but I just can't say enough of how impressed I was as far as the people's commitment to working together. And then last but not least, I just want to point at your corporate counsel. On a daily basis, I'm impressed by Thaddeus's work. Last week, that level went through the other roof. He spent the day working with our staff as they went through the MIOSHA meetings. He spent the day just being a calming presence to staff that was very much on edge and helping them with just answering questions in a completely clear and competent way. Prior to that, he was out buying donuts and coffee for a road department. You got a really good corporate counsel. Okay, I could go on and on. I'll stop there, but to the board, thanks for the flexibility last week, but moreover, thank you for having a willingness to invest back into your staff. It is appreciated. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Brian, for your comments, and thank you for the work that you did to help keep everybody moving in that direction of just being supportive of the tremendous loss that we've experienced for our community and for this family that we have here at the county. So thank you. All right, with that, we're going to open it up for general public comments at this time. Anything that you wish to share under 2 minutes or less. We just ask that you be polite and professional and mindful of sharing who you are and where you're from.
I've been there, so this, Chair Martin brought up this morning. I said in administration, we get requests in there all the time from people wanting to use county property. Within the last month, there's been 2 races held in St. Joe. The courthouse parking lot was full. And I mean full. I don't recall anybody coming and asking if they could use the parking lot. So is it gonna be, it's open for the public anytime? Or is it gonna be, you have to have a request and authorized to use it? Now, this was Sunday morning, both of them were Sunday mornings. St. Joe was directing traffic. You couldn't go down to the beach. Excuse me. And everybody was parking in the parking lot at the courthouse. Walking across M63
going down to below the bluff down there. So I mean, you know, why is it some people have to get requests to use it like the Krasow? Other people don't have to get requests to use it. And the other thing is, man, I don't know how to put it out. I won't say anything about it.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any other members of the public who wish to address the board?
Amy Brown, I'm from South Haven, and I'm the Democrat candidate running for state rep. This is your last meeting before the primary, so I just wanted to visit to reassure you that if I'm elected, I will be continuing to come to meetings until November. I look forward to being elected so I can be a strong voice for Berrien County, and I will work with anyone, Democrats, Republicans, and everybody in between to get the job done for all of you. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Pelzer, Hager Township. I got a couple comments to make. You see that photograph up there? My head's up here. It's not in the picture. So somebody needs, this young man here, a little bit taller than I was looking up there, I couldn't see his head. So please, next time, move that camera a little bit so I get my mug in there too, okay? I heard you talking about looking around for space. I think I made this comment once before. Hang on for a year or two. Benton Harbor High School will probably either be, well, they probably vacated, you know, they're only using about 1/3 of the space in there. So that might be available. You know, you can do, I worked there for 31 years, so that's a pretty good building, okay? Resolutions, when you guys are off the numbers, please use the last 3 digits, okay? I got trouble remembering all those numbers like P 220 7319. Now what am I supposed to look for? P. And another thing, the last time I was here, I made a comment that you left off the 2-minute warning or 2-minute, whatever you want to call it. And I noticed somebody caught it and you put it back in here. And I noticed on one of them, you made sure I saw it because you highlighted it. Now, on that last page says the Board of Commissioners embraces diverse points of view that the board considers wide variety of policy changes. The right to be heard is a central democratic value. The right to be heard is only worth 2 minutes to us. Now you think about that. I told you about the next county where they allowed 4 minutes. Did they allow them go up yet? The 2 minutes are up.
Yes.
Thank you.
What he's doing.
Ada, we appreciate your comments, and they were noted and appreciated. So.
Hi, Diane Herman, Benton Township. I come with a concern about Rocky Gap Park and parking. I've lived there 41 years, so I've seen the change in the park. At one time it was terrible, and then when the park got redone and everything, it seemed it was getting policed. My concern is people are parking all the way down Rocky Gap Road on the curvy road, both sides of the road on the weekends. There'll be 30 cars down there, and some kid is gonna get hit. You got parents hauling all their beach stuff. You can barely get through. People use that like a racetrack. Kids will. They come through fast. They're coming around that corner. They can't see. And some kid is going to get hit. And parents have all their stuff. They're hauling kids. Doors are open. And you can barely get through with one car. So it's a danger. And like the county has done a good job of putting signs up of no parking. You know, you'll be ticketed. But no one polices it. So they aren't getting tickets. They aren't towing cars away, so it just continues every weekend, and it's dangerous. It is. So part of my question is, whose responsibility is it to police and to ticket that? Because we went to the township meeting, and they said it was the county's responsibility because it's a county road. This was last week. So anyway, it's a danger, and I'm just afraid some kid is going to get hit. It's just not safe on the weekends. The added thing to that is, I'm watching my 2 minutes. People like at night will park outside the park. When the gates do get closed, which is not every night. But people will park outside and go down and use the park, which has not been a problem in the past. This year, they are, and they'll camp all night.
2 minutes, ma'am.
You can finish.
This is how you get 4 minutes. You bring two people. I'm Michelle Bacorpa. I live in Rocky Gap, and my house happens to look over the park. And it is a concern of ours simply because the gates are supposed to be, according to the sign, closed at when the sun falls, which should be about 9:30, 10, generally is getting closed about 11, 11:30, sometimes 12, 1 o'clock, if at all. Nothing good happens in that park after 10 o'clock. There's fireworks going off. We had a semi parked in the park at 10:30 at night. The security people came and told him, just move your semi outside the park and you can just park on Rocky Gap. So he did. It was a sleeper semi. So you can imagine sleeper semis run all night long. And nobody came. People will camp with their RVs out on the road. It is a tollway zone. 2 weeks ago, 30 cars were parked on the road. No tickets, haven't been towed. And the only time we've ever seen towing was last year when the state troopers came in, and they actually towed away probably 10 cars. But other than that, we've been talking to Jill. She's done what she can do for the park. They've put up signs. The road commission told us we'll put up signs, but unless you police it, nothing's going to happen. He's absolutely right. There are no tollway, or there are tollway zones, no parking. They don't get ticketed, they don't get towed, and they know that. I have had people, I try to tell them, you're in a zone that's gonna tow your car. They go, no, we aren't. And now if they do get a ticket, they'll take the ticket and just flick it on the ground. I've picked them up and brought them back to the township because they know that nobody's gonna follow up on anything that's there. And as mentioned by Diane, there are kids coming in and out. It's just a matter of time before somebody gets hit.
2 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would you be so kind as to, oh, okay, Brian's gonna take care of it. I was gonna ask if you could give us your last name. I do know that our administrator has been taking notes, and I'm certain that he'll be following up with both of you as it relates to your concerns. Appreciate you coming and sharing those with us this morning.
It's a safety issue for sure.
Certainly.
And also in the neighborhood, or like people now have had some of their buildings down, on the beach, neighbors broken into because they have access from the park in the middle of the night.
Okay. Brian, okay. And will you be so kind as to follow up with them and
Yeah, ladies, if you'd be willing to stay after, I'll get your direct contact information and I'll give you a shout.
thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to, Tony, I'll open it up only for,
Can I finish if I, the other comment one second before?
not right now, if you'd like to.
Before you close.
If you'd like to share that after, we have public comment for the public one time. Is there any other members of the public who have not had a chance to speak that wishes to do so? All right, hearing none, we're going to close out public comment at this time. Moving on to other business. Is there any other business for this board at this time? No? No, okay. Thought you were grabbing your microphone to have other business.
Why do you always look at me?
I don't know. Commissioner Scott? I don't know. All right, the last item here before we adjourn, just announcements and reminders. August 4th, 2022, we do have a night meeting down at the Niles District Library. That will be at 6 p.m. So there will be no committee of the whole or parent committees as of this time. If that changes, I'm sure that there will be an announcement to that, but that is not planned at that time. So we will see you all in Niles
Madam
in a
Vice Chair,
week. Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, we have August 4th, we have a 1 o'clock, I believe, land bank. And I believe that's here. That's if it stays. Because we have a night meeting that night. So
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, and then we have a BC bit coming up soon. I'm just bringing that up because it's night meeting time, so.
So we will work through those
Yeah.
logistics and make certain that they're posted properly, because BC Bit did get canceled last week. We'll have to reschedule that so that we can have our roundtable with those members of the municipalities.
Admin committee is going to continue. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, I was looking for that. I think it's in this room.
Yep.
Okay, so admin's gonna be here following our meeting to continue business that way for their committee, correct?
Correct.
All right, well, with that being said, we are adjourned until next week.